So I'm a traditional teller and a medicinal teller, and this is a medicinal tale for 2020.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. There's a little bit of Irish in my story. So I say the word in Irish first, and then I always say it in English after. So that's just a little note that you know what's happening, you
Great.
know.
Maria Gillum, take the stage.
Thank you. So, Crahor was living in Castletown, Kenna, with fine, big, wide fields that he could run and jump in, and a little copse of trees where the animals were so tame that they came right up to you and looked into your eyes and shared soul secrets with you. It was the kind of place where you couldn't help singing away to yourself or dancing around in the field as if no one was watching, because no one was watching. When Crahor was about 6 years old, in his memory, his parents told him that they had to move to the big smoke, to move into Cork City for work. Crahor was devastated. He felt that they dragged him, kicking and screaming, from his lovely wide fields into such a structured world of rules and regulations. And when he went to school, they changed his name, for there they couldn't get their tongues around Crohor. We'll call him Connor, they said. Sure, 'tis the same name anyway. But Crohor didn't feel that it was the same. Over the years, his spirit became heavy, his heart even more so. He became silent. He didn't really look into the eyes of people because they didn't look into his eyes. And then it came to the year 2020 when COVID hit and people wore masks and they looked down, not into your eyes. Crohor found it hard to breathe, to take a breath. And as he was walking through the cold quay of Cork City, sitting on the window ledge of Dervish, he saw an old woman, full of wrinkles she was, wearing no mask, her face mobile with all of the wrinkles that she had, and her eyes like two currants in her face. But when she saw him, her eyes sprang open and her mouth dropped open. Anthea Bon, she said, Anthea Bon, the white deer. The white deer is a deer made of mist. Crahor looked at her. No, not the Fiadh, he said. My name is Crahor. And he surprised himself at calling himself by his original name. He smiled then, and she twinkled at him. Fiadh Bán, she said. Fiadh Bán. And then she put out her two hands and caught his and squashed him on the fat part of his thumb. It gave him a lift to have a little bit of contact. And he laughed out loud, and she laughed too. Well, as he was crossing the bridge, he began singing to himself. Havaka ma vokalin ma vornin og ma hemishin. Havaka ma vokalin. Is egwal shias am boher. Oh my goodness! He couldn't remember feeling as happy as this in the longest time. He walked up the rock steps towards his little house, and he got a yearning on him for his mother's brown bread. He took her big bowl down off the top of the dresser. You need a big bowl to make brown bread, a wide bowl, don't you know? And he put all the ingredients in and he mixed it with his hands, and soon there was the gorgeous smell of the brown soda bread. And it became a memory road. It brought him back to those days in Castletown, Kenna, when the fields were wide and people sang in their day. Now he cut that bread and he slathered it with jam, blackberry jam. He'd collected those smera duva, those blackberries himself in July, when Cork City was like a ghost town. Nobody was going out, and he could pick the berries from the branches on the roads of Cork City itself. When he was eating that bread and jam, he was thinking that life was beginning to get good again. There was a big full moon over the River Lee that night, and she wouldn't let him sleep. She tickled his spirit and invited him out, and so he put on his coat and walked down the hill to the little bridge over the River Lee and onto the Western Road. And as he did, on Kyo Driachta, the magic mist of the Lee began to weave herself into the lace of mist and come into the streets and the roads of Cork. It was as if she was calling him down the road to where the River Lee was silver under the moon. And then he saw her. There was a big tree next to the river, and coalescing next to the tree, out of the mist, came on Fiadh Bán. Oh, yes, the deer that was made of mist. Not one word went between them, but she spoke to his heart anyway. Crohor Mukri, Crohor Mukushla, Crohor Tar Ansha, Crohor my heart, Crohor whom I love so much that you are the pulse in my own blood. Crohor, come here. And he went towards her, keeping his eye on her dark eyes. And as he moved, the mist began to shift and her shape began to change. And she left the shape of the deer and became a beautiful young woman with long dark hair and darker eyes. Tell me, she said, tell me, Mukri, tell me my heart. And he said, oh, the world is broken, broken-hearted, Mukri, and nobody looks into one another's eyes anymore, and the soft word hasn't been spoken in a long time. Ah, is it like that in Éire, she said, in the island of Ireland, in the heart of the world? Well, now, it's a big wheel and it will turn again, and joy will come upon the world, and laughter will be heard in the fields, and young boys will run free again right through those fields as if they were the first, as if they owned the fields. And this made him smile. And she said, would you like to come with me to Tir na Nog, to the land of the forever young, where we laugh and play and eat and sing and tell stories? Would you like to come with me and wait there until joy fills this blue planet one more time? And in answer, Crohor put out his hand and took hers and stepped into the mist.